The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, on February 14 declared an indefinite strike. It turned out to be a prolonged one that lasted for 8 months, during which federal university campuses were totally shut down.
You close the universities, you say that you are not paid well.
All Nigeria can see that the government side is not interested in resolving these issues. Like we have said, and I will say that again, this issue can be resolved in just 1 or 2 days.
The demands of ASU included the implementation of the 2009 agreement, the implementation of the recommendations of the NIMI-BRICS Committee, the payment of earned academic allowances, and the demand for the University Transparency Accountability Solution (UTAS) as a replacement for the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System (IPS).
We had agreement with Jonathan government then that every year they will put 200 billion naira into the Nigerian university system to bring it to such a state that one, it can attract lecturers from all over the world, so it cannot be able to conduct research that will generate revenue for the universities. But in 2014, the Jonathan administration released 200 billion to the system. And when you go to run today, you see that they're well labeled, need assessment projects. But between these governments, the past 7 years and 4 months, they have only released 50 billion to all the university, 50. Out of 1.1 trillion, they only released 50 billion. So if they had done what they were supposed to do, as we have in that agreement, MOA, and the subsequent we have signed over the time, will there be a strike?
21st century classroom used in Nigeria for lecturing students. You see, this classroom idea conception is for 40 students, but today we are using it for 200 students. Then learning becomes learning by rumor, where majority of the students are hanged, asking the co-student, what did he say? That is what did the lecturer say. Far back to 2013, the federal government sent majority of their own team to visit the entire public universities in Nigeria for this revitalization. They came up with a need assessment document, which they agree in each year they will spend 220 billion for revitalization in tranches. Since after one tranche, government have never done anything between 2013 to date.
To the belief of millions of unsuspecting Nigerians, ASU is not even demanding for money. ASU is demanding for funding of the university system adequately. That's all. Give us tools, give us classrooms, give us hostels, give us libraries, give us laboratories and reagents and materials. This is the bone of contention. It is not give us money. Of course, we renegotiated our salary that has not been increased for 15 years. And that's what makes us the poorest paid academic staff in the whole world.
Because of pressure on the system, universities have 300 students in one class. You do the maths. 1 to 35 and 1 to 300. How many extra students is the lecturer having to contend with? How many additional hours does he have to put in terms of assessments of these students at the continuous assessment level and as the examination assessment level? It is all this that is put together to determine the end allowance.
Early efforts to resolve the disagreement ended in a deadlock.
The end academic allowances that were there, no money. Everybody in Nigeria knows that the government earnings have dipped and dropped.
The Nigerian Labour Congress and other labor bodies took the issue to the National Assembly.
On behalf, comrades, we have written to them also that we'll be here today. We'll be here to lay our complaint of what is happening in the entire education system in Nigeria. I'm sure they are also aware that the university system has been shut down for 5 months. And I'm sure they are also aware that it's the children of the working class, the children of the less privileged, and the children of the poor that are actually affected.
Government sent their team to negotiate with us. And we met, and we agree, both sides agree. So the issue of middle ground, we have gone beyond that.
While the stalemate lasted, the federal government stuck to implementing the No Work, No Pay law.
Because the law relating to no work, no pay, is in the Trade Disputes Act. And the Trade Disputes Act is what is regulating dispute between the trade unions and their employers, be it government or private institutions. So they should have known that this will be activated. The fact that it had not been, and I firmly believe that after this strike of ASUU, this country will not witness any more strike in the next 20 years, because everybody should go back to the law. It is the law that it is under the law that you are registered. It is that law that authorizes you to operate. It is that law that recognizes your right to strike. It is that law that also says when you are on strike, you are not entitled to pay. It is that law. In other countries, you'll see they have what they call strike fund. And no, you've not seen a country in the world where strike lasts for more than 6 weeks. I don't remember any country in the world. Because in those countries, the no work, no pay applies. And within the period of strike, you are not entitled, they don't pay them. It is the strike funds from preserved by the unions that the unions use in paying their staff. I challenge ASUU and any other trade union in Nigeria to go and say that it is not true. And on account of that, since the strike funds is not unlimited, the workers can't go on strike beyond a certain time because they cannot have money to pay from their union funds, the strike funds of the union, to pay their workers.
In a quick turn of events, the federal government took ASUU to the industrial court. And in what was seen as a ploy to break the ranks of university lecturers, the Ministry of Labor officially recognized and registered sister academic unions, the Congress of Nigerian University Academics, CONUA, and the Nigeria Association of Medical and Dental Lecturers in Academics.
University Academics, CONUA. CONUA applied for registration since 2018 and cited irreconcilable differences with ASUU, as their members do not believe in recurring recrudescent strikes as the solution to every welfare agitation. They also accused the ASUU executive of non-rendition of accounts of incomes and expenditure for years.
After 8 months, ASUU and the federal government finally reached a truce following the intervention of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. However, 3 months after, some of the terms of settlements are still in contention. Upon resumption, the lecturers received half salaries.
The Bajabibi earlier understanding, and it was from as far as I'm concerned, and as far as many of the spectators are concerned, it was an effort that was speedily put together to try and resolve this issue by making promises that, in a nutshell, federal government had already made earlier on, but they needed to tidy up some of those things and call off the strike. And then people again forget that the matter was already in court and there was already a judgment. And so there was so much pressure on ASUU to take the fall, as it were, and reach some agreement,
The question of half pay is pro rata. If you know the civil service rules, if you ask the auditors, and if you try even in the universities, it cannot work, it cannot be paid. Because under the civil service rules or public service rules in auditing, if you start from the beginning of the month to work, you can be paid for the whole month. But if you start after 15th, 16th, 17th, you can only be paid pro rata. It perhaps, and I re-emphasize the word perhaps, if the workers had resumed at the time that the Court of Appeal asked them to resume after we got the order of injunction, and we started all the issues that go back to work, you'll be paid from here. They may not have been paid half the salary. They would have been paid for the full month. But they went for meetings, saying they're calling congresses, they want to do this and do that until the first 2 weeks of the month lapsed. And under the rules, which they themselves know, you cannot pay somebody who started work for a month on the 16th or 17th for the full month. You can only pay him pro rata.
Federal universities have since resumed academic activities, but the strike left huge academic, financial, and psychological damages.
We cannot begin to fathom the damage that this strike has done to our system. We cannot. It's in years to come that we'll begin to see the impact. For the first time, we had a lot of academic staff who said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm no longer doing this, and moved to other environments. The other major impact that we will not even be able to measure is commitment. Like somebody said, it is during this strike that he now knows who likes the average academic. So he now knows how to do his job. The type of commitment that he will ordinarily put in this job will no longer be there, because if he dies on this job, he's not going to get any thank you from anybody.
During the course of the Asuu'S strike, me personally from my institution, we lost 4 students a day at a sport, of which if they were classes, they wouldn't have gone arts. So we lost them same day at a sport. So this Asuu'S strike really caused a lot of damages to our students.
So I got a lot of reports from so many students who complain about their friends being engaging themselves in, some social vices and all of that, like, abusing drugs and, taking hard drugs and all of that. If the students are in class, I don't think they will have the time to go and start doing all of those things. So that is one of the worst effects that we had during the Asuu'S strike.
It is on record that since Nigeria's return to democracy, there have been 16 strike actions by university teachers. The longest was a 9-month strike action in 2020, while the 2022 strike lasted 8 months. Mary Chinda, Arise News.